Everyone, welcome back. Tonight, I'm going to hopefully try to wrap up what we started, or I should say started on last time. Started on a couple times ago with the XAML test and the material design in XAML and the MCP and getting everything updated to Net 10, because now we can finally do that. First, only small updates. Small updates today. I have a new YouTube video out. It is an interview with Madge Torkinson, who is the lead C# designer. I had a blast doing it. It was great. Just being able to kind of pick his brain. If you aren't into C#, that's totally fine. This is a little bit more high level about kind of his philosophy on language design, sort of how the thing evolves forward. Hopefully get to pick his brain again, especially as we get closer to the next release of C#. They keep teasing out, and he even comments in the video about, union types look like they're finally going to land. They've said that the last couple releases, and I'm very acutely aware that they have what they will refer to as deep-seated commitment issues. Until it launches, it's not out there. So hopefully it actually lands this time and comes in a nice way that feels very native to C#. So if you're at all interested, check it out. Links in the chat, or you can find link on my YouTube down there. So, what are we doing? Last time we were. Sorry, I'm just checking my stuff. Last time we were. And I'm just realizing I am missing one of my buttons. So 1 second while I go and grab it. I need this button. Whoop. Put it over here where I can. Got it. Excellent. There we go. Okay, last time we had started on XAMLTest, getting it updated and ready to go, and its primary purpose and target audience is very much for the material design in XAML project. And before, we kind of got hosed because Copilot helped us get the source generators up to date, because when we revved to the latest version of .NET and revved all the NuGet packages, the latest packages, want everybody using the incremental source generator APIs. I was still using the old source generator APIs. There's an analyzer that flags those things as obsolete. I have warnings as errors. That warning gets propagated to error. I know compile, problem, right? And so we could have turned it off and moved on, but you know what? Sometimes you just got to bring things forward and bite that bullet off. So we've got them move forward. The XAMLTest library is compiling. The tests are passing on that side of the fence. I believe that's true. Let me just confirm that. I believe so. Yeah, because the latest run, green check mark. Yay. So it actually it went through. Of course it had to, because it pushed the NuGet package. So we have the NuGet package out there, and I was going to pop this one open in NuGet Package Manager, because before, what we had, I think, roughly ended with was realizing that Copilot hosed us and had removed out all of this extra bit down here in terms of what is actually loaded in. Now, I'm a little surprised. Yeah, so I'm a little surprised that NuGet lists net 9 here, despite the fact that the package clearly contains net 10 inside of it. That part's interesting to me. I don't know if maybe this is just fueled by the prod release, not the one I'm selected on, but I kind of feel like if I'm selected on this release, I expect this to reflect that release. It's just me. Or maybe it's got a detection issue. I'm not sure. Regardless, it does have roughly what I expect to see inside of here. And then we've got our source generators, which are great. And we've got the lib and then the executable. So the reason this exists is because this DLL is what gets referenced by your test project. And then this DLL actually starts this exe, which starts up a WPF application and then uses it as a shell to inject the XAML content that it wants to test on, which is great. I did discover a cool new API, because this is currently running over gRPC, and I discovered that you can do Unix file buffers on Windows. I did not know that was a thing, so that was kind of cool, and I was leveraging it. It's the way, for people who have worked with .NET Aspire, I was poking at how the Aspire communication works, going back and forth to the is it DCP exe? Their effectively manager process, and it was using that, and I went, oh, that's kind of cool. I hadn't seen those APIs before, so I learned a new API. Because I just I have this urge when I see something working. I'm like, I want to know how they did it, because it looks interesting, and like, even if I'm not going to do anything that way, I just want to understand it so that I have that knowledge, so that it's, because I will find a different use for that tool at some point. If I have a golden hammer, you better believe I will find the nail to smash it with. So we've got that. We've got that. I wanted to check, because this is the version number we have here. Okay, that's our version number. And then back over on the material design project, because I just revved this, I think we updated, let's see, 662. What version are we on here? 662. So we did get that guy brought all the way across. So in theory, and I just rebased and pushed this up, because Nikolai's PR for the tab control changes. So people maybe from an older stream will recall we had the feature where the material design tab control is supposed to kind of leave a little bit of the next or the previous tab available so that you can click on it, and that's supposed to kind of animate it in. That way the user doesn't necessarily need like scrolly arrows or a scroll bar to work. We had not implemented that behavior. It is now in. It will be coming in the next release. So we are going to fire this up. Hopefully the next release contains net 10. I don't currently intend to drop any net supports right up until Microsoft kills them out of like my test runner and makes the downloads hard to get and that kind of thing. So I only guarantee that I will support net framework versions that are in support by Microsoft. So once it drops out of support by Microsoft, I make zero promises that I will continue supporting it. But until it causes me some sort of pain, I don't actually, like, I'm not going to go kill it just because Microsoft drops support. But once I start suffering from it, then I will absolutely kill it off. Okay, so I'm going to do this. Is this, and close all of this off, and now the key question is, do we compile? Because a lot of the compilation errors that we saw before were due to the fact that the source gener wasn't properly running. Okay, that goes there. Okay, so let's build that. Go, go, go. And then in an ideal situation, this thing just works. I kind of don't think that that's going to be the case. But after I rebased, I do realize that actually, you know, it's probably quicker if I just do this. Go to here, go to the remotes. Give me this one. View origin. It's GitHub has added this agents tab, and my brain instinctively sees a capital A, and I immediately assume actions, and I just want to click on it. I want to go here, and that is not the actions tab. So, like, I appreciate it's kind of a cool entry point into GitHub Copilot and other stuff. So it's actually running. This may just work. So one, we know it builds. Which would be, we may have to go find some other stuff to work on if this thing rock and rolls. If that's the case, we may go do AutoMocker, because I have a release there that I would like to get going, specifically adding HTTP client support. And actually, if this thing's going to chug, and it currently looks like it's passing fairly effectively, I'm just going to kind of quickly scroll and scan and make sure I don't see any major failures. You should see a stack tracer similar. Failed 0. Failed 0. Failed 0. Looks like it's passing. So we're gonna let this guy sit for a moment, because it would be pretty cool. I want to double check what I have this thing set up here. The other thing that I'd like to get in on this next release is we've got these new color utility projects that were an outside contributor bringing in, and I'd like to get them included. I need to go through and figure out what the right layer is for it, because I think I want to change the name of them, because if I could go back and do, let me get myself out of the way here. Go there. If I could go back and because this was done way before I joined the project, but if I could rename all of the projects willy-nilly right now, I think I would want to do material design .wpf and drop the word themes, because it's a lot more than just themes anymore. Like, that's how it started. And then the colors one, like, the whole point of this was to separate out the colors, because that way you could release independent packages of it. But I don't think that that's actually really a viable thing that we've ever done. So I'd honestly collapse the stuff that's currently in the colors into the main library. But then these color utilities, like, these stand on their own. And there's a lot of kind of really cool stuff in here, especially for a lot of color theory related things that feel like I really want to leverage. But right now, they're just sitting there. And so it's like, I kind of want to, same with the motion library. There's all this cool animation stuff that's here, but it doesn't do anything yet. And so it's kind of a cool setup. And it feels like I want to actually bring it in and have it. I don't think I would release it as a separate package, but bring it in as either an optional dependency or otherwise. Like, I'm somewhat tempted to, and let me show this off. So I don't have it here. Where's my AutoMocker stuff? Let's see. Reset onto HTTP client, because we may be going here. If this thing's gonna work, we're gonna be cruising. We might even. Yeah, I'm trying to decide if I go work on. Kind of feeling. I'm feeling like writing tests. For some reason I am very much in a test mood today. Couldn't explain why. Some days I just enjoy building tests. Like, that was why I was kind of excited to work on XAMLTest, but it's just gonna work. That's gonna kind of defeat the purpose. I do actually also want to see the MCP work in it, which would be another big thing to go hack on too. That might be even more fun. We'll see how it goes. But in AutoMocker, one of the things that I have added in is the ability to. Okay. This is why we opened it. Come on. Go through. Stop. Cover. Looking for the delete button. There we go. Sorry about that. But inside of the AutoMocker library, I've added in the ability to add in the source generators, and they automatically get added in, but they are conditional. So you can choose to not have them always included. So, for example, if we go down a little bit, where is the structure test? Hey, Kinuin. Hopefully, I'm not butchering the name. Thank you for the sub. I appreciate it. But in AutoMocker, the source generators, this is actually not showing. I wonder if I didn't set it to be configurable. There's CS Proj properties you can set to turn them off, which is convenient. Finian was taken. I know how that goes. I often try to grab Kaboo as my screen name, but I've found that I get beaten to it a lot. It's too short. I often have to fall back to something else. But I have these MS Build properties, and I kind of feel like on the material design project, what I might do is bundle these things in as additional DLLs, but only conditionally reference them for people, so that they're like an opt-in. If you want them, set the MS Build property, and then you get them. That way they're there, at least until I start leveraging them inside of the main library as well, because it feels like there's something to be leveraged there. And I feel like if people want to use them, Like we've got all of this lovely implementation now, but they aren't being distributed, which kind of makes them not as cool. So at least that's my thinking there. Holy crap, the whole thing passed. Okay. Well, that's exciting. Oh, and I had autocomplete set on the PR, so it just went, didn't it? Okay then. That is very, 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 very exciting. Okay. Let's go do some I'm gonna change this up real quick. Uh let's see here. There we go. We'll do this. Boom. Let's switch gears. I honestly thought that was going to take more than just a commit push. So apparently that's all it was going to take, and that made it a little too easy. So let's pivot then. And since the XAMLTest stuff went in, what is open on my PRs on XAMLTest? Dependabot needs to rebase all of these because we just revved all of these up. So we're gonna. Where's my? Oh, shut up. Not the release notes. I want the Dependabot commands. But it's just a Dependabot rebase, I believe. Because this should not be. I think Dependabot has probably stopped watching. If you ignore Dependabot PRs for too long, Dependabot will stop spamming your repository. Mostly because Microsoft wants to save compute costs, and if you aren't going to be looking at them, why spend time doing it? But the moment you re-interact with it, it kicks it back in gear. This is no longer needed because we've done this already. Close pull request. Thank you, Copilot. You were helpful, kinda. Let's see. Missing double-click extension methods. This one feels like maybe one that we rebase. So, WinForms. One feels like one that I'll go through and rebase real quick. XAMLTest. Let's see. Let's delete up some of these NuGets. Okay, and I apologize. That's tiny. There we go. There we go. For people who haven't seen it too, I want to highlight just a couple things real quick. So release notes on Git Kraken. The shallow clone is kind of one of I really like because they release basically monthly, right? If you go back and look at the dates on their releases, it's about once a month, give or take a little bit. But the shallow clone feature was something that came out in 11.8 and then got expanded on in 11.9. So for people who are potentially cloning repositories that are, decades old potentially, the shallow clone allows you to pull back only a certain number of commits, or at least in Git Kraken, they allow you to pick hey, pull me back only the commits from the last year, because oftentimes you don't need the history going back 5, 6, 7 years. That's dead code that you don't care about. And so a shallow clone can often give you a nicer experience to be able to pull that in. So there is that, which has been kind of cool. And then just a couple quality of life things like the word wrap toggle, which is, in my opinion, absolute gold, because sometimes I want word wrap and sometimes I don't. And sometimes it's based on the file extension. Like if I'm reviewing markdown files, I turn word wrap on. I like seeing that kind of thing. Code stuff depends. Maybe like HTML or a Razor page or something of that nature, I might turn word wrap on. C# only sometimes, but having a toggle button for it, in my opinion, is awesome as far as being able to go through and show it. And then the other big one for anybody running on an ARM PC, because ARM has been one of those things that since it has come out, there's been this long tail of just trying to get support for it in all the places with all the things. And at least for, I will say, Windows.NET developer, there's a handful of kind of straggler areas that are definitely key pain points, but it's getting a lot better. And you could always run Git Kraken on an ARM PC, but it was through the emulation, and so you ate a performance hit with it. And so now, if you are on an ARM PC, what you should do is you should actually go back out. Don't just run the updates, because the updates of Git Kraken Desktop are based upon your architecture. So if you're running like the x64 build on your ARM PC, you're only going to get updates for x64. You should actually go out and get the ARM build, and you will notice a significant performance. So if you are running an ARM-based PC, definitely go and check that out. Okay. Okay, you did merge, right? Yeah. There we go. We're going to just grab that, clean this up, and then I was going to go rebase that XAMLTest PR right after I clean up some of these things. What did I stash here? White space change. Why did I stash that? I don't think I needed that. Delete, delete, delete. We do have our MCP one down here that we might go do, but I'm kind of tempted to go and do the HTTP client one first. I think that one feels nice. Let's see, updating generators. We've already done that. New icon. Did we not merge this? This looks prettier. Why did I not merge this? Huh. I'm gonna rebase this one and bring this in too, because I don't know why I didn't. Rebase, please. Why did I not? Yeah, why did I not change this up? Because I think that the whole point of this was, yeah, let's just, I just want to check, because the deletion, oh, it's just the deletion of the PDN. And I assume the ICO has been appropriately regenerated despite not having a previewer for it. So we're going to do this. Send it, and no. Gen me a new one. The default message here on Kraken for the title is based upon your commit, and what makes a good PR title and description is not always what makes a good commit message and title. So send that. Go out to, oh, I missed the button. Go out to GitHub, and we'll set this guy to autocomplete, because that's an easy one. But I wanted to go grab that other branch for the double click extensions. Let's see. Dependabot, we're just gonna start torching the Dependabot branches. There's no, they don't need to exist. Let's see, what's in this stash? Anything useful? No, no, no. That's, sometimes I just need a good way of cleaning stuff up. Stop it. Let's see. The incremental source generators. This was the one that we deleted. Yeah, so delete remote and local. This one is gone. This is the one. This is the one in question. Okay. I don't want to just blow away all of these local branches. Actually, why am I doing this the hard way? If only I had a list of all of my local branches, like, right in front of me. Let's see. Man, I may have to go through and clean this up more later. Let's grab this. And then I want to drag you up and rebase you onto latest, please. And I can see immediately I'm about to have a conflict. That's okay. What do we got going on here? Auto resolve. More specific assertion is greater than. Great. Thank you. Best JC, good morning. One of the best features of Kraken, in my opinion, is that AI auto-resolve. The amount of time it has saved me on solving merge conflict problems is not insignificant. It is absolute gold at times. Okay, so there's that, and we're going to go bump this guy, because I think this PR was good to merge too. And then I may just kick a full release of XAMLTest, because these were all the tests to do it, to add in, because there was a test we were trying to write in material design where we wanted a double click, and there was not built-in support for it in XAMLTest, which, as the author of XAMLTest, I took personal offense to that and decided to fix it. Because there absolutely should be, because there's right click, middle click. Yeah, okay. Why is this called right click though? Oh, right down, right up, right double, then double click. What does... I might need to go look at this just real quick, because the no, those are the no, those are the ones we want. Only because I don't remember what my send double click method does, and that it's now been a while since I wrote this code, and I don't recall. Like, the name of the method seems to imply that it's going to do the right thing, but I'm just surprised looking at this implementation that that's the API for it. So, could be. Past Kevin may have been brilliant, or he may have been an idiot. TBD. We will know in a moment. So, got it. Send double click. Oh, I see. That's why I was confused, because it's like the send click doesn't do that. The difference is the integer being passed in both sides, because with double click, shockingly, there's a constant for 2, and single click there's a constant for 1. That might be overkill. That might be overkill for the constant. Okay. That is very reasonable to me. And then let's see. Alerts 10. What is this alerts? Identifier expected. Identifier expected. What are these things? Those don't sound like alerts. Those sound like compiler failures. Wait. Failed now in... Did it botch something in the compile? So let's just build this real quick. Oh, we don't have the solution open. Let's actually open the solution, because I do want to get that merged in. Look at that. And then Dependabot is rebasing this PR, and I assume it's going to realize that it doesn't need to here in a moment. Let's make sure this guy builds. I'm just surprised that it even tried to build, since it wasn't a published PR yet. I didn't think it would build the drafts on pushes, but maybe. Did it legitimately run? Yeah, so the icon merged. That's good. So what we should see is an update come out here in a moment, because at least at present I have it just pushing out every time, but then we should see a prettier icon come out. Great. That looks fine, but you did fail almost immediately. So what did we do wrong here? You want to normalize the line in? Sure, fine. So when we rebase this, we absolutely botched something in here. What is this? That's all the white space changes. Sure, fine. What icon did you choose? So we went with this one, which I think is one that we did on... I think we let the AI generate it. I'm trying to remember what we used. Maybe it was Copilot. Like Nano Banana, I feel like I get the best image generation out at the moment. But this was originally done back, I don't know, November, when that model wasn't available to me. So, but it looks a lot better than what was there. So we'll go with it for now. I try not to be too attached to it, but I think this is a little bit nicer. Like the previous one, the whole idea was I wanted it to, be reflective of the test explorer and kind of show that sort of thing. But upon further, I realize I think I actually made this old icon. And I just, it's way too busy. It's way too busy. No, but For some reason, I didn't have it in my head that when you have an icon, most of the time it's small. People are just briefly glancing at it. You want something memorable and not something busy. And this, I think, is a bit more memorable. So, and I think that'll go a little bit nicer. Okay. We got this, and then where did we botch the merge here? Was it this one that we... No. Because it's the send input test that we did it wrong on. So we added those tests, and it's this here. We just need to delete that much. Because that was just an addition, and we don't need it anymore. So this guy here just needs to go away. So, and then this guy here is complaining that it wants a more specific use is not empty. And I think, wasn't there a... guess it doesn't, greater than 1. I will say, I am slowly coming around. All of my critiques of T-Unit that I had before, I feel like the developer behind T-Unit has been working overdrive and just making it better. Like he has had major version revs with breaking changes, so it isn't always a clean upgrade, but everything that he has done to T-Unit has made me like it a little bit more. Just the extensibility of it, like that was one of the things that I didn't like, I think, originally when I was doing the material design stuff, is the extensibility felt clunky and hard to do, and now it's trivial, and it's so nice. You want to wrap all of your tests in a using statement so that you can wrap logging on it? Great. Implement this interface that's run tests. Done. Like it is very, very, very nice in my opinion. And it's actually something that on the material design project we just merged is XAMLTest, because it has the screenshot capturing on failures. It now, I'm using T-Unit to be able to say, oh, okay, let's wrap all of our tests in this little setup so that we can go ahead and grab that. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Okay. So that should go there. That should go there. Clean that up. View changes. Stage. See if you figure out what it's supposed to be. Come on. Write the commit message for me. Thank you. Commit. Push myself over here for a second. Let's see. Rebase on to latest. Push. Force push, force push. And then we will go and kick this guy ready for review. Let's see. Resolve conversation, because we fixed that one. Ready for review. And then enable auto merge, and we are off to the races. Okay. That should clear out, I think, everything on XAMLTest. Wait. Did Dependabot decide that it wanted to actually keep this? Told it to recreate, and it didn't recreate. You know what we're going to do? Dependabot, we are going to just delete your pull request, because, frankly, you had since February. That's enough time. Why is it still showing here? I want you deleted. Yeah. And that's fine. I don't think there's any... I think at this point we've revved all the packages. Maybe we'll just do one final pass on it and just make sure there's nothing else showing. Anything? I don't think there should be. Oh, we do have the one obsolete package. Thought I had let Copilot loose on that at one point to say, go fix it for me. Did I not do that? Izzy, Merry Christmas. I have some good news for you. I have nerd sniped one of my colleagues. And I got a message from him today, and I quote, "Do you want to see something cool?" And I was like, yes, I always want to see something cool. He has done all of the mono game stuff for me, which I found to be absolutely hysterical and awesome. And he wrapped it up in an Avalonia thing. The only thing he had to do was he had to, and I was going to go look at his work just to see if there was a better way I could come up with to do it. But he did fork monogame because he needed an API that they didn't expose for injecting the surface. And so once he did that, he has it up and running. And I was like, that is pretty cool. But even without that, the stuff that we did before, if we change the drop-down value, and I'm already blanking on monogame's like asset program, it does load your models just fine. So apparently I was one drop-down away from victory. So I think we've got a solution for rendering all of the NuGet stuff. Okay, I hate this. Like, this guy is obsoleted, and this is the replacement. Okay, so I don't really want to do this, so I'm going to let Copilot do this. Because I kind of feel like this is boring work. So Copilot, you're up. But I'm gonna give it to the coding agent. Actually, I think I can just go here, can't I? Coding test to work on. Update the, and I'm gonna real explicit here so you. Oh, it's not. Why can I want to copy the text. Why is none of this text copyable? There we go. That's what I want. Let's see. Remove the pinvoke user 32 NuGet package and replace it with the newer source generated this guy, just come on. Quit making it hard on me. I just want to copy and paste code. Update all of the code. Sure, all pass. Let's see. Not auto. I don't trust you. 4.6 has been doing pretty cool stuff today. So we're going to let Opus 4.6 go. There we go. So we'll let Copilot go have some fun. So there you go, Copilot. There's your task. Go do work. Let me know when you're done. Because I don't really want to think that hard about it. And then, oh, you failed the build. What did you fail on? Mouse input tests. Didn't we? Oh, did I not go and update these? I must not have. Oh, I guess I was on the send input tests. Okay, so let's go look at those real quick. Mouse input tests. Oh, is it really just, is that the only, that's the warning right there. Yeah, replace them all. Yeah, do it. Thank you. That was just a warning. What was the actual failure? Just a warning. And for people who are wondering, the reason these warnings are doubled over is because this is a multi-targeted project. So because it's net 9 and net 10, it is technically run twice. I still don't know what to do with this alerts. It seems like it's just, just a compiled list of all the things that came up. Okay. I want to look at why we failed. What went wrong? So a test failed. Let's see. What test actually failed? What test actually failed? My blinders, there we go. Okay, so it's whatever this one here is. Can double middle click. So this guy actually didn't pass, so that's actually a problem given that it's the test we literally just added. Let's see. Was this why I left it in? Given how old this PR was, I'm wondering if this is why I left it. If the idea was, uh, wait, is it just me or do I remember last week saying that I will get time to catch up on other recordings? Was expecting you to be streaming today. Maybe I'm just in the Matrix. Izzy, I am streaming today. I'm confused. Yeah, I've got Twitch up on my screen over here. It says live this time. I did not botch it like last week. And yeah, so last week I had the unfortunate flub of frankly forgetting to start my stream. You are now. Okay. Could have been live for a little while. We've had chats and things going through, so I assume it must have been you in the Matrix. So it does the click there. And then where's my Test Explorer? Why is my Test Explorer not? So it did not register the event. Interesting. Let's see here. Did I? I don't think I did. Hopefully I didn't tell you that, Izzy. No, I should be streaming. I will say the end of the month, I will probably not be streaming the 26th. I am being sent out of town for a work trip. There's a chance I might. We haven't gotten flights scheduled yet, so I don't know exactly when I'm leaving or exactly when I'm returning. But I'm leaving the 25th and I'm coming back the 26th. I'm just acutely aware that the last time I flew back from this client, the flight was at like 11 p.m. So well past my stream. So there's a chance I may not be streaming, but I don't know flight times yet. So once I know that, I will be working on it. I will post on it. But for anybody wanting to keep track of it, I've been trying to be better about at least posting inside of the streaming channel on the Discord. So when there's going to be a cancellation or similar, that's my go-to place for posting. Otherwise, in general, I plan on being here. What the heck? Does middle double click? So hold on. What did this do? What did this do? I'm actually surprised. Maybe that's what you said. I was just too tired to take it properly. That is very much a possibility, Izzy. Yeah, because I know, like last week, I was also a little flustered. Like I'd been running late. I got sat down on my computer, was rushing to get everything ready, and apparently got everything ready and just didn't hit the start streaming button because I was doing too much and not thinking straight, and was like, okay, good. So little things, little things. Um, I'm surprised I don't see a log message here about the middle click going through. Okay, so what exactly is going on here? So one, I want to fix all in project, I think. Yeah, do all those. I will say those types of refactorings being available, absolute gold. So we are creating a window with a grid menu and then a button in the middle called Click Me. Okay, that's all fine. But can double click. But this test passes? Something seems wrong here that this one Let's see, a static local function. Oh, this one we can't do. Because this is functionally invoked in a different couldn't that XAML be a raw string? Oh, actually probably. Probably. Yes, it absolutely can be. So let's see. Convert to raw string. Good call. A lot of the stuff in XAMLTest has some artifacts like that just from being written prior to raw string literals added to the language. Okay, what was the other one? Same thing down here. Yeah. So we're gonna just do cancellation token none, just to be explicit, so it makes the warning shut up. Just because this function being passed in here is being remotely executed by a different process, so it is not going to have access to the memory space of TUnit because that's just not a thing, right? You're in a completely different process. Why do we have this down here? That's not how TUnit does test context. Okay, so that guy was just hanging out for reasons. Do you need a $sign on the string? Ooh, good point. No, I do not. No, I do not. JC, you have an amazing eagle eye. I do have one thing at some point that I would love to add to this where it source generators out effectively a page object model for this with the relevant elements. That way you don't have to you've got something that's strongly typed rather than having to hunt it by name. So it feels like something that would be kind of fun to do. Just to have things like obviously I'm not going to get rid of the underlying get element method, but having it source gen out, like I'm sure, and I haven't quite decided like how I would want to do that, but it almost feels like there's you can write your own string interpolation handlers now, and it feels like that might be a really fun anchor for source genning in the page object model, because XAMLTest is kind of built around the idea of XAML strings, and so it would give a nice way of anchoring it in. Is kind of my thinking. Okay, so can middle click on button. So this works, right? But I will say this is also watching mouse up, not mouse down. So that works. I'm willing to bet button middle click just doesn't, or mouse double click doesn't fire on individual. I'm willing to bet if we go look at button, that's what we're gonna find. I am willing to bet that's what's happening. And actually, let's not do it here. Let's go do it on source.net. I have a feeling this will be a little easier. Not on the forms. It's this one. And then I'm going to be, let's see here. Is it? Oh, it's, nope. One of these guys. There we go. There is going to be on click. It's not there. It might be down on the base. I don't see it here. So it might be on button base rather than on button. Go down a level. And then if I do this maneuver, nope, this maneuver, nope, this one. I think I, every single time clicked, I think I did the worst possible combination of clicks both times, which is, yeah, because there is, so this is left mouse button down, left mouse button up. This, bet you if I search in here for double. No, really? What is the, oh, it's all the way down on control. The event lives all the way down on control? Really? That Copilot wants your approval. It's feeling very self-conscious. Oh, okay. We'll go look at it in just a second. Thank you. Do this one here. And then I'm looking for the mouse, on mouse double click. So I want to know where you are invoked from. Let's see. Handle double click. If click count is 2, right, it raises a double click event. So where does handle double click come from? So the thing I'm noticing immediately is I only see left and right. So I'm willing to bet that the middle double click just isn't a thing. Which makes me think that I should delete it from the API. If WPF doesn't support raising the double click event on middle click, I think it's probably rare that anybody would need a middle double click. So let's just get rid of it. Baggysaurus, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Let's see. Can middle double click? We're going to go here and axe this overload because I don't think if somebody comes up with a use case, maybe we can add it back in. But the fact that WPF doesn't support it, let's see. Let's just verify because right double click should absolutely work based upon what little we saw. And I didn't check it how many tests were failing, but I'm going to guess it was probably just the middle click one. Oh, it doesn't pass. But I do wonder if that's because there is a context menu on the button. Wait a minute. Why did that context menu open? There's a menu. And there's a grid context menu. But the... Okay, we're going to just double check this. No one needs middle double click. We want left and right triple click and swipe through. Let's see. Preview right mouse button down. Like this it's gotta be in this vicinity. So register class handler. So on both preview mouse button down and this guy, both of them fell into here. On handle double click. And so this thing is literally the only condition it checks for is the click count equal to 2. And the only reason it's limited to left and right mouse buttons is because that's the only thing that the event manager is registering for. Is on the left mouse button down and the preview left mouse button down, and similar for right. Okay. I guess it is also limiting it here too as well. If routed event is the preview, we do preview double click. I guess in both cases it's basically doing the same thing. The only difference being it is changing the routed event and which one it calls here and here. Okay. I'm just surprised that that guy registered a context menu. Not crazy, right? Like, right, double click, and let's just debug real quick, because I'm kind of curious to just check and see. I'm surprised that right-clicking on the button triggers a context menu. Since the context menu is on the oh, I need to set my bool because it's blocking my debug. Where's my constructor? Test initialize. Attach to, where is it? Base. Oh, I don't have the separation here, do I? Where is it? Initialize with defaults. Where is the Visual Studio attach happening? Start remote. Bum. It is, I do not, oh, because I'm not calling the option, the one with the options. I just need to change that. Let's see, because it's the material design one where I have where I have that set. Do that. We'll lose the debug for the moment, but that's okay. What I'm really interested in is just launching, letting this breakpoint pause the unit test side of the fence, and then still being able to interact with the WPF shell on the other side. Because now that guy's paused, but I can go click. So that makes sense, right? Right click there. When you right click on the button, the context menu does open. Interesting. I would have thought that it would block it. Okay. Do we have, so okay, now the next question. What is this context menu here for? So where is context 1 being used in this test? It's there. Can right click to show context menu. Because this is all around the mouse events. That's it. Because it's doing grid.get context menu. Okay, we're going to change this up, I think. Because there's no reason to make my life hard. Okay, so we're going to just do this. We're going to do this. And we're going to put a second row definition in. By second, I clearly mean third. And then down here, rather than button, we will just do grid x name has context menu. Right, and we'll just do this, and we will just put the context menu down here rather than up above. And that will make that problem go away. Because now I only have to change the one test to pull it from here rather than the parent grid. So this is grabbing the grid. Let's see, grid right click. And then this is grabbing the menu item. So I need to not use grid here. I need to do var bottom grid gets grid dot get element, and it will be of type grid as context menu. And then these ones are just going to change out to be grid. Oh, you got to await the call, otherwise you get a task of visual element, not the visual element itself. This is grabbing the context one from the menu inside the context menu, so that should all be fine. All of that should just work. Okay. On test, this guy should work, and then I'll have learned something new. Ooh, that didn't look like it went to the right place. Oh, it didn't go to the right place because I didn't do, let's see, grid row 2. So that needs to be down there for that to work properly. Up above, it would get a tiny height and not do what we expect. So that's fine. Test Explorer. Let's just make sure we have the old test working, then we'll go back to the double click one. I realized I said we were going to switch gears, and then I promptly locked myself right into this. Failed to find parent window. That's shocking. That typically occurs because your XAML's invalid, and it then throws an exception. What did I do wrong? Grid, row, 2. Did I botch something somewhere? I don't see it. If I did, XName has context menu. That is what I put down here on the thing. It has context menu. It is a child of this one. Let me go back up here and put it back. I want to put the, let's see, close this. I want to put back the right line. We're going to discard this section. And now we should get the logging out from both sides. Oh. The menu did not open. Why did it not open? Oh, it's because, I know why. It's because when you don't have a background color inside a WPF, things like grids are not hit testable. The click goes right through them. And so the switching it to a grid with a non-transparent background, it wasn't hit testable by default. Therefore, the click just went straight through. Here we go. There we go. Success. That's what we look for. Okay, can right double click on button. There we go. And now that there's not a context menu getting in the way of the button, I'm just going to run all of these for kicks and giggles, but I think we shouldn't have broken too much. We go. All of those work. Yay! Okay. Let's just briefly examine these. So we whacked middle double click because it's dumb and WPF doesn't even support it. Fix the assertions. Actually, we should. Oh, these are already staged. Got it. We changed up this for a raw string literal. Moved the grid around. That's all fine. Put in the test cancellation. That's all fine. Whack the test. Change this test up, including cancellation, to use the new bottom grid. That's all fine. Visual element test, cancellation token, none on both of those. Great. And then we are bumping our test adapters up. Sounds good to me. Actually, you know what I'd rather do? I want a way to cancel this. Because I feel like I've got multiple changes inside of here. Yeah. Shut up. Compose commits with AI. I found that I really like this because I have a tendency to do like 3 things in a single commit. And this logically groups them together, which it then breaks it out and makes it look like that I was being good and breaking up my changes into individual commits like you're supposed to. Then we will go check out what Copilot did. There we go. So test. So it put the cancellation tokens in a separate one, which is kind of nice that it separated those out. It put this down in here, cleaning that test up, realizing that those changes went together. Remove middle click. And then kind of going to just move this one up here and squash these together. Actually, you know what? Let's do this in a different order. I think what I want to do is do this and then squash. That way we pick this up as the main text, and I don't really care about the other one. There we go. So we'll squash those together, put those, and then update the framework and the directory build props. Great. Looks good. Thank you, Kraken. You've been so wonderful. Do the needful, make it look like it's all pretty and stuff. Okay, send that. And then we are going to just immediately jump over here, and then we'll go back real quick and look at what Copilot did. So there's I assume you opened a PR. Did you open a PR? Yeah, good. Good, Copilot. Clean that up. Check and see what it actually did. Let's see. Get Windows placement, messaging, native methods. So this is the cool thing about the new pinvoke source generators, though. I will say that is rather than including a DLL that has like everything in it, which then you have to like trim and clean up. Instead, what it is you declare out which APIs you want to use, and then the source generator just builds them for you. That way you get something small, targeted, and it's just the APIs that you care about, which is significantly nicer, right? Rather than having to have all the things. And then it also means it can generate slightly more optimized code for you as well, which is cool. I mean, this is roughly what I would have expected, right? It's slightly annoying that the source generator stuff does this naming, but I understand that that's how it is in the API, and that's what it's using. Great. It went to native ints and unsigned ints, which is kind of interesting. But okay, great. That's kind of cool. A lot of casing changes. Great. There's the native methods here for the actual XAML. So this is for the actual XAMLTest stuff for setting cursor position, send input, get async key state. Great, great, great. That's kind of what we expect. Wax that one out. Wax that one out. I mean, frankly, if this passes all the tests, this looks like what I expect. So, question will be, does it pass tests? And I approve workflow to run. Okay. So we'll let that guy rock and roll, because if that ends up, if it passes the tests, I'm fine with it. I am fine with it, because that's really going to be the test of, does it work? We'll set auto merge on that guy. This one should already have auto merge set on him. And I want to go and look in NuGet real quick, just to make sure I got my new icon. Just make sure it's all pretty. Oh, it's all pretty and stuff. Again, kind of tiny. Surprised it's so small there. I guess that's about the same size. There might be some extra margin around on it, but overall it's effectively the same thing. So that'll get that nice. And then I think, I don't know that there's a lot more that I wanted to add here. This is done, because this is the one that I had used just to, because before when the coding agent was added, you only had so many ways of adding in or prompting Copilot, and so it was, yeah, close. There was only so many ways, and issues were one of the easiest one. Get element parent API, but walk up the tree rather than down. I think we have that now, don't we? I think we added that last time by accident. Let me check, because we added in the ability to get parent. That was last stream's excitement. Visual element. All right, so oh, that's caps lock. Element get parent. Did we not add that, or did we omit get parent? Is it only on visual element of T? I thought we fixed the get as to, let me go to the test project. I thought we fixed the get as so that it would actually do that. So if I do List box. Yeah, get parent. It's now source gen in. Yeah, so we actually have get parent now. So I secretly did that one without realizing I had a separate issue for it. Warning, if project does not set use WPF. I mean, this is only because I got bit by it once. It's kind of unusual. Uh, Flag when framework calling XAMLTest does not match XAMLTest. Yeah, again, got bit by it. And then add checks for binding errors. Yeah. I'm fine with where we're at. So one of those guys merged. Great. This guy will probably merge too. And then I think it'll just be a matter of... Oh, got to resolve the conflict. Let's see here. Here, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you, Copilot. I got you. I got you. Let's see here. Oh, that's not the conflicted file. This is the conflicted file. Auto resolve. Let's see. I think the right resolution would be 410 and then dump the p invoke. Yeah, so yeah, 90% confident. Yeah, we'll call that one line. You got 66% right. Okay. That should be correct. And then push again, and then that'll go. Okay. We'll let this guy rock and roll for a minute. Okay. So given that, we got all that going. Okay. HTTP client AutoMocker. AutoMocker. So the premise here, as we mentioned before, the source generators of being able to add extra functionality in. And a lot of these source generators that I have done, so there's kind of an overview of the docs here. So if anybody wants to play along at home, here's a link. So a bunch of source generators that are in here. The unit test generator, admittedly, if you're like, those are worthless tests, I 100% agree with you. However, some people record code coverage metrics, and if you do things like null check your constructor arguments, if you don't write tests for all of those null checks, it hits you because now you're only testing one branch of that condition, and that's bad. So in an effort to argue against using that as a thing, I feel like those tests are stupid. So I wrote a source generator to test them so that I didn't have to write those tests. So that's the premise behind it. It literally just gens in null constructor calls with nulls in each parameter as it goes across. And it's got some extra overloads of things to make it work when it's like an int or something. So, but that's all that is so that I didn't have to take a penalty for code coverage metrics. Again, I don't personally like when people do that, but I was working on projects that did, and so I hacked around it. The other one, how does it treat primary constructors with null checks? So same way, because a primary constructor ends up, at least from a the state at which it goes through and does. Actually, you make a good point. I should check. I want to tell you it treats it the same because the primary constructor is more about internal to the object, because from the outside of an object, the outside of it, no one can tell whether you've used a primary constructor or a regular one because it's syntactic sugar around a regular constructor inside of it. But now that you say that, maybe we go test that here in a second. That is worth checking. The next ones are actually useful, like with options, because if you've ever used iOptions, there's a whole lot of interfaces that you, in theory, if you want to mock it away, you really should register on. It's just kind of a pain. Most of the time, people just do like iOptions of T and call it a day because that's the only one that their code is leveraging. But if you actually start leveraging like iOptions monitors and snapshots and all of the other stuff that comes in here, you then have to register, I think, 3 or 4 different interfaces, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. So, done, right? This source generator will tack on a with options extension method, and now whenever you want to use an options class with AutoMocker, you just do with options, your options type, and then it gives you a callback. very similar to how you would have set up the options with your DI container when you were binding them. And then you can just plug in whatever values you want, right? The only slight disadvantage I'm aware of here is if you've done like get init on your properties, this setup doesn't work, but the I configuration is still able to resolve it because it'll use reflection to assign to those properties. And so it can assign to the init member, and this doesn't quite work. So there may be an opportunity here where it's like, we might want to clean this up or do something different. But at least for now, it sets it up and it works that way. So it's like, it's probably good-ish. But I have contemplated letting this thing take in an instance rather than a callback, for what it's worth. Let's see. This does that. We also have iLogging support because this is lovely. This does leverage Microsoft's fake logger provider. So if you don't like that implementation, this is probably not the source generator for you. Some people have their own different ones if they're using Serilog or otherwise. This is just the built-in one from Microsoft. So it will pull that in. But it looks, because it's relying on this like the fake logger provider, it does expect that you have to reference this NuGet package, which is the key to automatically turning these source generators on. App Insights, if you're using App Insights in your thing, again, telemetry client, pain in the butt. So this now makes it so that it'll inject in, and then you don't ever actually hit your real App Insights, which I found to be very helpful. The whole point here is AutoMocker's purpose in life is to make it so you don't have to rewrite your code with extra seams in it just to make some mocking library happy, right? And same with the HTTP client one that I want to work on is some people like hide their HTTP clients away, and it's kind of dumb because HTTP client is already sort of an abstraction layer over a list of handlers that if you have ever looked at the internals of HTTP client, there's basically a set of handlers that just get invoked in a pipeline in order, which is how you get like poly retries and other things get tacked into this pipeline as a way of doing it, with the very bottom one usually being a socket request handler, I think is what it's called. Don't quote me on that. But that's the one that actually like says, oh, okay, now we're going to open a socket. Now we're actually going to, send data out and receive a response and that kind of thing. But then keyed services, people have requested keyed services for a while on AutoMocker. And so this gives you a way of having this work. It's worth noting it's special because it's not like there's a handful of these things where it doesn't quite work like a DI container. And so AutoMocker is not designed to be a full-fledged DI container. If you need full-fledged DI, you should be spinning a service collection and a service provider and all of that stuff. If you want a lightweight thingy that's just going to inject your parameters, that's what AutoMocker is for, is a quick and easy way of getting those mocks in. The problem is because it implements iService Provider and because it's gotten so close in a lot of cases, there's a lot of times where people are like, ooh, I really want it to be that DI container for me. It's like, it's not quite that. So, but yeah, it also has keyed services stuff so that you can get all of these things brought in. Again, it's just you'll see this extension method light up if you've referenced AutoMocker and something in the dependency chain is referencing Microsoft Extension's dependency injection, because that's the NuGet package that actually has the keyed service provider interface in it. And so it just uses that for a trigger to be able to go through and do. And for all of these source generators, you can click in and get more information about how these things are set up. So if you're leveraging this inside of your app, like I know in my day job, we use keyed service providers because we're building an AI app with semantic kernel, and we have multiple kernels. And so we're always registering the iKernel interface, but we've got one kernel whose purpose is doing data extraction, and another one that's more of like your chatbot interface, and they are both configured with different sets of tools and that kind of thing. So it's like we register them differently because they're doing different things, but you don't really want to have to like have your own derived iChat kernel just as a DI segmentation, which is the whole point around keyed services, is rather than having to just key on type, you can key on type plus something else. Okay, there's all that. There's all that. So the idea then is we also want one for HTTP client that comes in and goes. And I am selfishly taking a lot from mock contrib HTTP client. So I believe it's this one. Yeah, this is the library that I'm taking a lot of inspiration from. The problem I have is it hasn't been touched in a while and feels like it's been abandoned. Um, and it hasn't really been updated a lot recently. And yeah, it also doesn't. There's a handful of small things that I wanted to change about it, because I've written extension methods over it to kind of clean up the API. So I'm taking a lot of inspiration from it and blatantly poaching a lot of APIs, but then trying to clean this up a little bit better. So if it looks similar to this, there's a reason. Uh, Maybe I should write an AutoMocker wrapper for my data store framework. I've seen people do some wacky stuff with it, and I've tried to keep AutoMocker as unopinionated as possible. Um, I there's a handful of other libraries out there that do this kind of auto-generated stuff. I think I am one of the few that have done the source generator thing, which, in my opinion, this makes for the nicest consumer experience where things just automatically light up if you've referenced the right NuGet package. But it also is a pain in the butt on the library author to do this kind of thing. So that part is annoying. But I kind of hope that the the templates and the tooling around doing this gets better, and this kind of starts to become more common, because in my opinion this provides a really nice consumer experience, which is also why on material design, those extra libraries, I kind of want, I'm tempted to include them in this sort of fashion. Not exactly the same, but the idea that people can opt in to having them, whereas these ones are opt out, um, with CS Proj properties. But we could do the exact opposite, right? They could be out by default, but you set a CS Proj property, and now we reference it, and poof, now that DLL is referenced by your project, and all those APIs are available to you. So I just feel weird automatically including the DLL and having all those APIs when I it might be extra overhead for people if they don't actually need it. It might not be that big of a deal if, because the base library isn't referencing it, most of the assembly trimming should just drop it automatically, blah blah blah. But it's like, feel feels weird. Feels weird, man. Okay. Boom. Are you still going? Or you just slow to? Yeah, you're just slow to refresh. Okay, great. So that went through. That went through. That went through. Okay, so AutoMocker and JC had a wonderful question on primary constructor. So we're gonna go check that, because I don't know that I actually have a test with it. Test generator test. Let's see. My data store framework is trying to be a framework for data storage like trans it was for mass queues. Yeah. There is have you looked at any of the stuff that, as much as I hated it, the WinRT APIs tried to do? Because they tried to do something kind of similar where they tried to abstract away the storage system. I don't feel like they nailed it, but they at least had tried to do it. Okay. Okay, so I think inside of here, and let's go ahead and do the project. Leverage that. Kind of nice. I love that they've got the AI infused refactorings, in my opinion, have gotten better. Either that or they've updated the Roslyn ones to do better with. Okay, so on all of these ones here, do I have one that works off a primary constructor is the question. I don't know that I have a test specifically for the primary constructor case. I'm looking at this controller class is often what I've used for this as a test, but I don't see a primary constructor, but we should add a test for that. Because this is just empty diagnostic error. Let's see here. I think this is empty constructor. I want to find one that has the simple. That's a value type. This. Let's duplicate this one and make this the primary constructor test. Um, let's see here. Uh, 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 primary constructor parameter with default value. Oh, this does not generate test. Chris, welcome in, buddy. Welcome in. Hopefully you had a wonderful stream. I saw you were working on your shoot, and I'm probably gonna butcher the name of your project. Um, the one that lets you keep track of people referencing keywords. Why am I blanking on the name? Messio? Is that how you say it? I don't know how to put the J in there. My pronunciation's probably messed up. For anybody who doesn't know, you should go give Chris a follow. Just think Messy Joe. There we go. That works for me. Go give Chris a follow, especially if you like a lot of web development and otherwise. He's also got a second channel if you just like gaming and chilling, which is always often something I will throw on in the background when I just need something to listen to. But good to have you. Good to have you. We are currently playing around in a test library I maintain called AutoMocker. It's designed to automatically insert test doubles for .NET projects. So, and playing with some fun source generators. Let's see. Eventually, I hope to add a pipeline element to apply Enigma encoding to the data. Oh, Izzy, I wish I could say I was surprised, but I'm proud. That is awesome. For people who are unaware, Izzy and I are actually doing an Enigma coding project. Cool, Chris. Yeah, always good to have you, and welcome in everybody who came from Chris's stream. But Izzy and I are building a small Enigma project. I'm doing an app simulator of it because, you know, developer. And Izzy is crazier than me, and he's actually building physical hardware and we'll say improving on the design of the past. Because it turns out after, let's see, what are we, 80-ish years past, you can do a lot more stuff with technology. Trying to think. When was the first one? Was it the 20s or the 30s? I know you know, Izzy, off the top of your head. You are intimately familiar with all of that history. Um, okay, so I was looking for one that was not the string parameter because I need one that actually is going to generate the test and not just bypass. These are all value points. We just go up and grab the iLogger. Oh, here we go. This one, generate with different namespaces, the same class. This is all just... Okay, we just need to go back to the basics. We need to go back to the basics and just grab this one. I believe it was the late 20s. Yeah, so late 20s. We are closing in on 100 years. Hit SAP creator. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Originally used for banking. Yeah, and then immediately people realized as World War broke out that this was useful for a lot more than that. Let's see. Generation with, and let's change this. Primary constructor generates test. I guess we'll go with that. So what we want to do is we want to take this and actually make it into a primary constructor because that's what we are looking for. And actually, let's go all the way. If we're going to do this, let's do it like this and gen it all the way to a full Because with the primary constructors, you can even get rid of the curly braces on your class definition. So you can really go one-liner on it. But I think the output generation should be the same, would be my expectation. The only thing I'm wondering if we might need to change is I can't remember, and I'm going to get rid of the description attribute there, is when running with the source generator testing package, I don't remember which version of .NET it's set to. I think, well, we're going to know in a minute. If not 10, we're going to learn real quick. But I think because we've revved the packages, I should be getting latest. I think. If not, I know there's an enum where you can set it to control your Lang version. There we go. Okay. So going all the way back up to your original question, JC. Works like a charm for primary constructors. Generates the same stuff out. That makes me feel good. All your other tests have a blank line after the var code. Oh. Okay, fine. We'll put it back in. Shouldn't make a big difference either way, but you are right. We'll keep it the same. Okay. And I want to do this tab. Okay, I do not want this here. I want to be back here. Because this is not really related to the HTTP client stuff. Pop. There we go. Let's do compose. Let's do compose, because I suspect it'll be smart enough to split off the cancellation token change from that one. Come on, Kraken. Do your thing. Make me happy. Save me some time. Yeah, because in theory, all of these should go into their own commits, because most of these changes are just going to be the cancellation token changes. With the exception of this big green block right here. Come on, I know you're analyzing the commits. I get it. There's a lot of changes. There we go. Oh, look at that. It figured out the cancellation token and then put this guy. Why did it mix? Hang on. Why did it? I'm confused. Did it split? Huh? That one goes there with 185 and 193. Wait, what did you do? Oh, that's hilarious. Yep. Cancel. I'm sorry, you failed, Kraken. We're just gonna do it all as one. Okay. New branch. Add primary structure test. Oh, and that's what happens when you have your caps lock key down. Rename. Primary structure test. There we go. There we go. There. That. Gen me a commit message, and then we'll go do HTTP client testing. This is going to be largely around doing more tests for the API. That's what we're going to be looking for. Okay, there we go. Generate me a better message. There we go. That looks better. That looks better. And jump out. And as long as the tests all pass, we ship it. And we should be good. Okay, so back to HTTP client fun. So I want to remember where I left off in my excitement. So we have a bunch of stuff in here. Verify HTTP, and then down here, describe HTTP client. And there's probably some room for refactoring on a couple of these tests, but that's probably where we want to go first. So let's close this guy all up. I think I want my test explorer back. And this test is very friendly for live unit testing, so maybe we'll just turn that on instead of our test explorer. That instead, include all tests. Let's see, I'm still waiting for a Kraken menu to do pull requests on DevOps server. So unfair. I know. Believe me, I vary that. Yes, yes. DevOps is absolutely an area where, like, I get it. They've got, I don't know, I think 8 or 9 providers, and so you have to they have to add support sort of incrementally and based upon popularity or usage metrics. And shockingly, GitHub tends to go first for a number of reasons. Let's see. Do you have an inside track to Get Kraken support? Kind of. I'm one of the Get Kraken ambassadors, and so we do have like an ambassadors chat that we can put stuff in. I don't necessarily know if it's an inside track as much as they tend to be very responsive to them. Though I will say, just the if anybody is ever looking for quick support, like opening a support ticket usually gets you pushed into the main path as quick as probably is what's going to happen. Um, the other one is their Slack. They do have like a Get Kraken desktop place where you can ask, but oftentimes you'll see Keef, which is the name of the Kraken. Um, that Slack account is maintained by I believe it's maintained by their support people, and so you'll often see Keith replying with a lot of stuff in there. But there are a handful of like their project managers and things in there that you'll see. So I think JC, to answer your question, kinda. Um, if he makes 2 stashes on the same commit, it seems to randomly choose. Oh, which one to restore? Yeah, let's go test that. Let's see. Let's see. Trying to stop my work from paying through the nose for Bitbucket. That's the only feature that would make it easier to argue for DevOps. Yeah, I can see that. Um, I believe because when you say DevOps in this case, Izzy, you're specifically talking the on-prem Azure DevOps server, not the cloud Visual Studio DevOps, right? Because the cloud-based one, the PR stuff does work on because I use that in my day job. But if you're talking the on-prem stuff, which I kind of suspect you are, that one would not surprise me. Hang on, let's go. We need to do a describe HTTP client. Primary constructor test work. Woot woot. Thank you, JC. Let's see. So if I do, you're saying if I do 2 stashes off the same commit, so stash 1, right? So I stash that, and then I come over here and I do something down here, right? And then I stash that. And then you're saying if I go through and pop at this point, JC, you get sometimes random behavior. Yeah, on-prem one, difficult to use in a cloud environment. Yeah, no, I mentally in my head, Izzy, I just assumed that that's which one you were talking about, but then I realized you didn't actually say that, so I should confirm. Yeah, change the branch first. So if I jump over to here, right? Oh, and then back, and then pop, I assume. And I assume pop from here because I assume if I pop by clicking on it, it'll know which one. And so pop the stash from this one. Okay. In that case, we got the last one. So, and that's the one I think I would expect is that one there. So if I go here, back, pop again, dash, here, back, pop. Okay. From the graph. So when I go back, are you saying, is it right click and then pop isn't down here? You say from the graph, JC, I might need some more directions. Because I could certainly see if I right click on, oh, well, hold on. This is the second one. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I need to change these so that I can tell which one is which. This is the second test. Update message. What? Did I? Okay, now I'm confused. Reset. Go back. We're going to do this because this one should be the first test. That was very weird that it immediately went there. If I go here and go, this is the first test, right? And I go update message. Okay. That kind of makes sense because in a lot of cases, so the graph here is always ordered chronologically. I shouldn't say always. Um, you'll always note if you look at the timestamp on them, that's the order this always goes. And so sometimes, so if I go back here and then back here, so I expect pop to be the first one. Yeah, stash. A little confused as to how I got that other case in. But if I go here, I come back, if I pop on this one, that it kind of, so they swap places, and I wonder if maybe that's potentially contributing to the confusion. But yeah, if you've got steps that you've seen it grab not the latest one in, JC, drop them in. I tend to right click the commit message to restore. Okay. So if I go here, back, and then you do a pop here, I assume. Which again should do the right thing. If you've got the default, whip message on here, that might add to the confusion of because the ordering of the coloring and whatnot can make it weird. So, but if I go pop on second, I expect like these two change. I may have just confused myself. Yeah, I do want because that has bitten me a number of times because the coloring of these branches is kind of like this predefined order of stuff, so that you always get like these nice contrasting colors. But if you've got the default message on these, it's very easy to actually accidentally get yourself confused. One of the things that I actually had a colleague show me that I didn't realize is when you've got work in progress, you can actually just set the message right here. Like it's the same as typing it down in the main part, but you can actually just go hi, and it's perfectly happy to take that. And then when you stash it or whatever, that's the commit message you end up with, which is I didn't even realize that box was inputtable until a colleague showed it to me. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I never tried. My instinct is bottom right corner. And so the fact that that went through and just worked, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Okay, so delete. We'll whack away our primary constructor one, delete. And then let's, oh, no, don't merge, undo, back up. Undo didn't work. Go back. Reset master. Okay, try this again. Go back, go forth, rebase, don't merge. There we go. Okay. Force push that sucker up, and then we're going to go look at the describe HTTP client tests. And then we'll see exactly what we've got here for failing tests. Like I said, this project is nice because it lends itself nicely to the live unit testing. So we can just literally just walk through and watch it go. Okay, so these are all of the ones here. And set up byte array response. It's been a little bit since I looked at this, so we're just going to take a quick moment to reorient ourselves. Can verify requests were made is probably the base one to start with. To make sure that this guy actually works. Why do I not see my live unit testing showing in line? Excluded from live unit testing. No, it's not. It's right there. It's absolutely included. Not run tests. Is this No, AutoMocker tests. Yeah, it's not even multi-targeted. There's only one of them. Okay, well, you're gonna be dumb then. Maybe we'll pause it. Oh, hold up, hold up. That might be the cause if our test run is failing. That is one of the awkward parts about the way this, because we're writing tests over a testing library, and because we source gen in things with different testing libraries, so XUnit, NUnit, TUnit, and MSTest, it's a little unusual because most of the time you should pick a testing framework and just stick with your favorite. Like nobody nobody building a real app should have a bunch of conflicting test frameworks in their app, right? Maybe you have two because you're in the process of migrating from A to B, but it is a recipe for disaster to have a whole bunch of them, as this project accurately demonstrates. Which I assume the reason why it's not finding it is because of this guy here losing its mind. So I have probably done something horrible that has botched it. So we will kill you off and we will just focus on this then. So, and verify responses were made. Okay, so this is the guy that we are working for. Expected, but found 0. Great. So this is the starting point. So let's go here and let's just step through and see what's going on. So the service under test here, if it's not obvious, is just a very simple class. Takes in an HTTP client dependency, probably similar to what many people have done, right? We wrap it in a property just to have easy access, but then we also hit the primary constructor parameter down here. It has a get, it has a post. We're going to expand it with more. But the idea here is we call a thingy that acts on the HTTP client doing a simple get call, and we want our test to verify that we can assert that that actually occurred. So this goes in here, this goes in here, and if we look at the HTTP client, the way this ends up working is it injects a handler. So specifically, oh, dang it. It's gonna be annoying. It's gonna be annoying, isn't it? Boom. Oh, can't be fast on the draw. Because as soon as I hit the control key, it's going to go through and do it. But it grabs a mock of the HTTP handler, and this is what's actually doing the holding of it. So nothing, because we've stripped out the socket handler that the real HTTP client would use to send network calls. It never hits the actual network, but you don't have to change your code. You can keep using HTTP client the way that you want to, and this guy just goes through and works. And I've written variations of these extensions in other projects before. Sometimes I get clever and throw a HTTP 418 just as a way of saying, ha, guess what? This doesn't work. For people who are unfamiliar with that joke, go ahead and look up HTTP 418. The wonderful April Fool's Day joke. Okay, so it's going to call get. That's going to do nothing. And then verify HTTP get. This is where we actually, I suspect, have the things. Good morning, Society Dog. How are you doing today? Okay, so this is the times one. We don't care. We don't care. Go in. I'm going to get really annoyed with my debugger being set to not just my code. We're going to fix that really quick because I do not want to debugging the .NET stuff. That's going to get real obnoxious. Okay, so it's going to pull the mock out of our AutoMocker instance, which it should have, if we look inside of here, a mock of HTTP message handler, which is exactly what it should get. And then verify HTTP get. Yeah. Okay. Get the mock. I know you're going to succeed on that. Okay, so we got that guy back out. Great. Invocations. There was an invocation on it. Good. It was a get. And now the question is, why does this not match? So let's see. It's going to verify that the method was get. And the request URI contains Example.com API test. Okay. Let's see. Fine weekend now and a bit of work on Sunday, but then a week of vacation just being home. That sounds glorious. Did you update the firmware or check up on your M2? I did go through and update the firmware, and I successfully had a reboot after that. So I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that I don't continue to have problems. So I haven't put it through a lot of testing, but the first one worked, and I'm here again this week without hardware problems. So maybe I'll say this: cautiously optimistic. And I appreciate the advice last week. That was great. Okay, so I want to go here and I want to look at this invocation because we know the test fails. And I want to know why it failed because the request URI, something about this is not working. So there we go. There's the method. Request URI, is it path and query that's the problem? Yep. That is the exact problem because path and query is just going to be that. It's not going to be the full absolute URI. Trying to decide what's the easiest way to actually do this. I'm kind of thinking because I don't know the type of the URI that's going to be there. Actually, the request URI has to get a full absolute one. So I think what we end up doing here, let's just kill this for a second. I think the easiest thing here is we just toString it because the string of URI is going to get us exactly in with what we want. And the whole premise here of this validation is that we can validate on relative ones too. Did you get a dump file after that reboot? I did not. I did not. Trying to think. I don't know that I tried though. I don't know that I actually because in my BIOS I have to go in and explicitly do there's an option for enabling like the dump stuff, and I don't know that I ever actually flipped that on, which is potentially part of the problem. Windows should make one by default. Oh, you happen to know where I would look for that by any chance? I can always go through and search and find it as well. But if you happen to know, I would absolutely take that information. Were people confused? Last week I had some hardware issues that I think may have been related to motherboard, possibly M2 drive, something in that vicinity. It was very obnoxious. I almost didn't stream because I was fighting with my hardware to get it up and running. Okay. This one here is similar, though this is setting up a sequence of responses of expecting to be able to get back a multiple things. So, oh, and I closed my test explorer. So let's see, which one of these things failed? Expected service unavailable, actual okay. So this one is, we've set up a sequence, and we sort of expect this to just work. So on all calls to send async, we expect this to go through, and we ended up with an okay instead of a service unavailable, which is what we expect to come through here. So let's debug this one and see what's going on. Let's see. I would recommend this app, Blue Screen View X64. Oh. Okay. Just real quick, I'm gonna dash that over here. Excellent. Let's see. Can generators not use scoped namespaces? JC, it depends on what you mean. Do you mean you've got nested namespaces? So, for example, I think I have do a new file here. All right, so if I do this, move. And so I assume you've got block scope namespace and then namespace other. Is that the premise of what you have? Namespace XX, the generated code. So on a lot of the generators, they should handle it. Because most of what so I guess which generator in question? That would be quite the first thing I would ask, and then I don't know if you can take a look. So let's see. Oh, the test generator one. Line 178. 178. Oh, got it. So you're talking about the file scope namespaces. So the big limitation with source generators is you have to generate code that is compatible with the lowest lang version that you want to support. And so because I don't know, it is I'll put it this way. It is theoretically possible that somebody is using this AutoMocker library in a project that's targeting, because I think um, file scope namespaces is C# 10, 11. So just because it's possible that somebody sets their lang version lower than wherever those features came in, if you generate using newer syntax, you get bit. And so you'll oftentimes see source generator authors write real down level C# and not leverage a lot of new language features because you just don't know. Well, I shouldn't say you don't know. You have access to the lang version inside the source generator. But more often than not, the source generator author is just going to write the lowest level that they want to support C#, rather than like doing a bunch of conditionals and going, well, if they're on C# 12, I'll do this, and C# 14, I'll do this. Sometimes you will, but more often than not, when people are checking that kind of stuff, it just ends up making the source generator more complicated. But I have seen a handful of times where people leverage it. The community toolkit does leverage it for like knowing if they can do like partial properties or similar. Yeah, so you need a generator to take a high level and create a low level. Exactly. That is exactly right. So just because you can also kind of get away a little bit with it's a little bit unusual for people to mix and match lang versions and net framework versions. Most of the time people keep those like within a version or two of each other. But if the minimum net version that you support is say .NET 9, you can probably assume that your source generator is probably not going to see a lang version older than 13 or 12. So it's not like there's some assumptions you can start making because nobody sets their lang version to like lang version 2 and then targets .NET 10. Like I've done it just for kicks and giggles, but it's not something you should ever do. It's also not necessarily a supported combination. So, because Microsoft says that they don't necessarily test all possible combinations of those, and so you can get yourself into some weird states depending on if you start just randomly mixing and matching. It's mostly there so that people have the ability. Like the lang version is usually there to rev forward, not to rev back, because oftentimes you want to use newer language features before maybe your app is ready to jump to that net version of a jump to that .NET version latest. So you're on Net 9, but the latest Net 10 language features come out, and you want to leverage those, but your app isn't ready to go to Net 10. You can rev your Lang version forward as long as everybody uses the newer compiler. Without actually changing your target framework. That way, if you've got servers or whatnot that need to be updated to have the latest .NET installed, you don't have to jump it until you're ready. Let's see. Just explain a code noob. What is this for? Good question. Good question. So this is all around the source generators for the AutoMocker library. So specifically, I've got docs around here for actually the source generator one at the root is probably the best. Rather than including a lot of dependent packages, like for example the iOptions one, I think is the easiest one to wrap your head around. Is if you have a library that is referencing Microsoft Extensions options and you are using AutoMocker, the AutoMocker library automatically generates a with options extension method for you so that it just magically lights up. So based upon what stuff it sees you're using, it adds in new extension methods to say, oh, okay, I see you're using the options NuGet package. Let me give you these helpful extensions that you probably want to go through and do it. So my comment earlier was, in my opinion, I think this provides the best consumer level experience for people consuming my NuGet package. However, it puts a lot of extra burden on the library author to actually write these source generators to do this. It's very magical and awesome. And it, some people, I had a colleague go, hey, wait a minute, this method just showed up. How did that happen? Well, it's because they started referencing the options package. It's like it wasn't there before and now it's here, because most of the time when people have these extra dependencies, they go and spin a derived NuGet package that references both AutoMocker and iOptions, and then they can write this function. And I'm like, I don't want to spin up a whole bunch of derived NuGet packages that people have to know to go and bring in to get these extra things. I just kind of want them to light up automatically. And so that was the long-term game plan. And so there's a bunch of different ones in here: logging, app insights, keyed services. Unit test is kind of a little bit different animal, but all that kind of, the basic idea being that if you're referencing it, it'll automatically bring in the extensions that you need based upon the packages that you're using in your app. So that's the whole premise behind it. And again, I think it's the best user experience because developers, they like their IntelliSense coding, right? I do AutoMocker dot, and I just want to see my stuff, right? What do I have? And then you start seeing all of these with methods, which is just the prefix that I started putting in a lot of these cases. So I am realizing I've got an add here, which is I'm less happy that this one's an add. I'm kind of hoping that that's a mistake on my documentation. Now that I see that. Sorry, slight detour. Now I have to go look. Now I have to go look. Oh, it is add. Oh, I hate that. Don't like that at all. Don't like that at all. Okay. Well, I can't let that live. I'm now unhappy about it. But I'm not going to do a breaking change, and I will switch branches before I do this. Why do I keep hitting my caps lock key? I think it's my pen that I keep picking up. I keep touching it. Let's see. We're going to do this with fake login. Do that. So just kind of write code for you, trying to get into that, like the community toolkit and stuff, but just too fast to get advantage. Yeah, so that is the idea, and it is like source generators are not, they're not trivial to build. They are somewhat complex, and I'm really hoping that the tooling around building them gets nicer, because they are incredibly powerful. And so better tooling support around them would be absolutely amazing in my mind. Obsolete attribute. It's a good question, JC. I'm a little torn on that one only because it throws a warning in somebody's code and it means that they will have to address it. Dang it, I think you're right. It is system obsolete, right? Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Yeah, how did I just notice that? Okay. Let's see, what do I got? I want to keep this. Ooh. I got my volume way too loud. Sakura, thank you for the follow. Scared me half to death. Any would you would recommend for simple app stuff I made? Frankly, most of the ones that I recommend are all of the ones in the community toolkit. So if you're already looking at those ones, Society Dog, those ones are my go-tos, especially if I'm looking at ones that I might want to replicate or base them off of. Specifically, the MVVM library inside the community toolkit. The author there is a brilliant source generator. I had a great talk with him almost a year ago now. He was very humble and claimed that he wasn't a great source generator author, and that he just had a bunch of good people around him. Regardless, the output of the source generators is awesome. So Sergio, if people haven't heard that name or seen him on GitHub, absolutely amazing job at it. Yeah, James Montemagno. Yes, absolutely. And I think James often does it in the context of like Maui, because James used to be, he's now just kind of a general ambassador for a lot of different stuff. But for a long time, he got his start doing a lot of stuff for what was at that point called Xamarin, and then got rebranded for Maui. So I think in a lot of cases that I've seen James's video, he does it in those cases. But the MVVM toolkit is framework agnostic. You can use it on WPF, you can use it on Avalonia, you can use it on Maui, UWP, or WinUI. It's all over the place. Yeah, I work with WPF. Ditto. And I can assure you it absolutely works there. I just realized I just shot that straight into main. Oops. Oh well. Oh, no. Undo. Oh, that is did it keep my changes or did it throw them away? Oh, it threw them away. Okay, so this is going to be a good lesson here. So, there is a problem. I had a commit, and I should probably go through and log this. So, I had a commit that I had done on HTTP client support, and it is now missing. I'm going to squash this. Because when I double clicked on it, I clicked on the wrong label and it reset my local pointer to the remote one. And just my muscle memory of always, clicking the button to reset threw it away. Now, the wonderful part about Git is things are never completely lost. It is there, but functionally, this is kind of like sitting in a tree and sawing off the branch that you're sitting on. We can still get that branch back. It's just because it is not attached to anything, it doesn't show up here. So git reflog is our new favorite friend. So the easiest thing to do is especially if it's something that has happened fairly recently, it will typically show up immediately in the reflog. So the way the reflog works is a git ref. You can think of it as like a branch. It could also be a tag or otherwise. But it records every position that it was at. So as you move it between commits and different things, the ref log is literally a log of where those references were going to. And so if you want to go through and get yourself back to a prior one, the key thing is just finding that commit hash, because then you can, what I tend to do is just git reset, which says pick this ref up and drop it over here. The question we have is, where is the drop it over here part? So I believe it's going to be this one here, update HTTP get verification logic, because that's the one that is not in the list. So you'll note there, that's my commit hash. So we're going to go control, nope, Q, it gets me out. So git reset, and then we'll do -- hard, and then we are going to just paste in our commit hash. And then hopefully, brum, 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 there she is. We got it back. So there's a lot of fancy stuff you can do with the ref log of being able to say, hey, find me the stuff that I was on last Friday or otherwise. For fun, you can go through and look up all of the options in the thing. But if you were inside of Kraken, right, you get this nice, I'll call it IntelliSense inside of the Kraken terminal, which I personally love to be able to go through and just find stuff. Obviously, ref log isn't fully built out, but you can start to go through and where's the stuff for finding the old ones based on a date? There is an option in here about being able to do, maybe it's actually on the get reset that I remember seeing it. Let's see. Get reset -- help. Boom, show it to me. Because one of these allows you to do like head -1 or otherwise be able to reset. Might have to go hunt that down. This is one of those areas of Git that you Google for and find it, and or you ask your AI tool of choice to say, hey, what's the command for this? Yeah, because it's this of being able, the syntax is similar to this of being able to jump backwards. But I believe the thing inside of this curly brace 1, it support, is it here? There is a way to specify like time spans and otherwise in one of these areas, and I do not remember where it is. So I may have to hunt that down. But regardless, short version, if you think you've lost something in Git, don't panic. Don't run commands like git clean. That will clean up things that are like making a mess. Get ref log and just see if you can see the commit, especially if it's something that you did very recently like I just did. It's very easy to usually just spot it in the history. And then once you have the commit hash, just git reset yourself right onto that commit hash. Okay. Something about sequencing not working. Just run those guys real quick. And I believe it was the setup sequence that was failing. And I want to know why it's not working. Because this should literally not care which one of these it is. And actually, maybe we should check before we get carried away on the sequence. I'm thinking, oh, that is exactly what I'm doing. I keep dropping my pen on my caps lock key. That's what's going on. Rename action failed. Uh-oh. Dang it. Why? What did I do wrong? Oh. Dang it. See, I have warnings as errors turned on. This is the exact failure case of adding in the obsolete attribute. Dang it. Dang it, dang it, dang it. Okay. So let's go back. I'm going to fix this really quick. So I'm going to go here. Let's see. Reset mixed. We're going to back this up. We're going to make a new branch. Rename fix logging. We're going to put this commit down onto here for a moment, and then we're going to force push master backwards. So push master. That'll back that one off. Oh, but I can't force push it. Well, fine then. We'll just run forward rather than run back. Okay, so what we need to do here is search for Dock you there. All of the usages of add need to be changed to with, I think. Though not all of them, but most of them. And actually, let's do this. I don't want to just do this one and do replace and do with fake logging. And then we're just going to jump to each of them. Let's see here. This needs to be undocked so that I can keep an eye on you of where we're at. Okay. So, replace, replace, place, 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 place. And then we'll just need to rerun the build, which should get rid of those squigglies. This is the one that I don't want to replace because that's the one I need to stay there. Have fun, Society Dog. Thanks for dropping in. And then this one needs to change to with fake logging. And I don't know why in my head I didn't bother to check to confirm that. Like I knew I had written all these tests. I don't know why I didn't immediately assume that I wasn't going to have problems with them. Those ones are expected. And let's see. And then we're going to place, replace, replace, find next, find next. Those are the only ones left. Okay. Now we should be in a much better place. Test, run all. This should get us in a much better spot. Close all you up. Because once that source generator is compiled and runs, those other red squiggles should go away. And if not, we are going to be... Here we go. Better. That looks better. Yay. Okay, so we're going to do this, do this, do this. Yeah. Commit. And we will pop this over here. Yeah, I don't know why I did not think clearly that that wasn't going to be a problem, because it absolutely should have been a problem. Okay, we will set auto merge on this guy. I don't doubt I'm going to get somebody complaining about that when that releases. That will absolutely ruin someone's day, even though it's a simple rename. There's been a dream that I have had for a long time where library authors can include something inside of their library. And again, I'm using abstract language because I've gone around and around on what the right solution is. But something library authors can include in their library that library consumers can opt into running to update their code base. Because more often than not, as the library author, I know the change that people should make. Right? I've renamed this method. I want to change it. And like you can put documentation in place, and if you put it in the right places, AI picks it up and it does the thing. But I feel like it could be better. I feel like it could be better. Because I've often dreamed of having that level of, I don't want to say control, but ability at my disposal. Okay, back into here, and I want to go down to the error case, I think, before we get caught up on the There's sequence, and I think this is the one that I expect to be working that was in an error state. Because this one absolutely should be. Yeah, so that one did not work. Expected internal server error. What? So expected expression, internal server error, actual expression, response status code. I'm missing something. Debug. Show me what am I missing? Oh, it's because this one doesn't have this one. This one should be matching anything. Set up HTTP request URL. Look at that. That's same bug as before. Same bug as before. Okay, let's just search path and query. Are there any more of these? Yeah. So we do not want this. Find all the path and query usages because that's probably going to be a decent chunk of them. Okay. Okay. Now we go back to our test explorer, run the set, see what happened. Didn't T-Unit use PowerShell scripts for upgrades? There was, so yes, so they did a couple things that were interesting. T-Unit upgrade from X-Unit. They used PowerShell to execute analyzer fixes automatically. So they gave you the find replace bits, which was good. Yeah, so the .NET format, I think was the key thing here because it was automatically applying the analyzer fixes, which is basically a way of doing a really smart find and replace because your analyzer has access to the syntax tree from the compiler. So it can be very intelligent about how it decides to do that replacement because it's not just like regex. It can actually look and go, okay, yes, this is the method. It's not just a method that has the same name. So it did have, I will say, some scripty stuff that I think when I did it, I believe I was running it in PowerShell. But yeah, the PowerShell I don't think was the significant portion of it. I think the PowerShell was running the commands that then ended up doing it. Yeah, so that was, and I think when I ran it, I ran into a handful of problems with the migrations. The last one I did it on, I had almost zero issues. Like it was a very smooth transition between having, like, I will say I did feed these in and tell Copilot to write me some regex to do this because this is what, or not the automatic one. I think it was one of these because I had Copilot do some of the cleanup for me on the back end of it of just make this happen, and then like it ate the documentation for breakfast. Let's see. Okay, so this guy still didn't match. Yeah, you were quite early access. Yeah, I don't even know that it. I don't even think T-Unit had hit like their very first official release, but it was one of those like MTP. The new Microsoft test platform was brand new as well, and at the time it was still .NET 9, where the .NET test support for MTP was kind of shaky. And I had an email chain with one of the engineers on the team, and he was like, "Yeah, it was kind of rushed. It was kind of shoved in. Don't worry, on .NET 10 we're actually doing it right." It was like, "Okay, thank you. At least it's I'd rather hear people say, "Hey, sorry, we know we did it bad. We're fixing it," rather than saying, "Oh, it's great. Don't you love it?" It's like, no, it's kind of crap. Like I much prefer when people are well aware of where their limitations of their products are, because even then it's like they may not fix it, right? Everything has to get prioritized, but I'd rather people be honest about, yeah, that's kind of a rough edge, but it's a little more esoteric of a case, or it doesn't get hit a lot. Like, sure. Or, hey, it's not the highest priority. We've got this other stuff we're working on. Sure. Like, development hours are limited. You only have so many developers and so many hours. Everything gets put in a priority queue, and if you never make it to the front of the queue, well, it's because there was always something bigger or more important in front. Okay, so the key thing here is this setup get is falling into a case where it should hit the first half of this and match on everything that is leveraging there. Yeah, T-Unit integration with Visual Studio and MTP is very smooth now. 100% agree. 100%. And even on my .NET templates repository, I have added in MTP as the standard for going through and doing it. For any new project, I don't know why I wouldn't pick MTP. Like it would be my default setting. And I've got a couple colleagues that like XUnit used to be everybody's go-to for a long time because they were kind of the de facto standard. But I do feel like TUnit has like that engineer is cooking, and everything he's done has made it significantly better. It is quickly becoming my new favorite go-to. Like if I were to start a new project, I'm reaching for TUnit as my testing framework. That's unless I have some reason why I shouldn't. Like maybe I'm going into a place where the team has a whole bunch of N unit experience instead, and they don't like learning stuff. Okay, fine, right? And lean into the team's expertise, maybe. But for most things, I am going to absolutely be grabbing T unit as my weapon of choice. Okay, so this should do the setup. Because at the end of the day, all of these things, all they're doing is building up expression trees to go against the HTTP method to verify the match. Because that's all this is. So I'm a little surprised that I got a successful response when I would have expected the. All right, let's just go look at this guy on the handler. So there's an invocation here, which makes sense. Matching setup. So it fell and matched the wrong setup because this is an it is any, so it's falling down to the default one. Yeah. Just the speed of T unit is very persuasive. Yeah, 100% agree. And a lot of it. So some of the speed is T unit itself. Some of the speed is MTP. Like it's both together is usually the big bonus because not having that extra process hop between your test project and like this test runner and the reflection load and scanning all that stuff is huge. For people with large testing libraries, that is a big deal. But yeah, T unit, especially their I don't want to say excessive, extensive is the word we're going for. Extensive use of source generators means that they absolutely cook. Okay, where is? Because it fell down and matched the wrong setup. Because there should be two setups in here. Yeah, there's two setups. I've got one where the method is get. Like that's exactly what we expected there. And it matched the second one, not the first one. Why did it match the second one? Yes, where is... I'm confused now. Why did it match on the second one? Because this test passes. I'm kind of curious to go and look at this. Only because this thing is calling verify rather than asserting on the return value, which is potentially a blind spot of this. So let's take a look. I just kind of want to look at what this guy ended up doing. So if I look at the handler, and I look at the invocations, there's a single one, great. And I look here and I go, which matching setup did you hit? You hit the lowest level setup as well. Got it. Okay, so even though there were two setups here, this thing matched the wrong one. But the verify does the appropriate lookup, so it finds it and goes, yep, we got it. Okay. So technically, if this thing were... If I'd done a setup on this guy, that would have done it. Okay. So that's what's breaking, is we're landing on the wrong setup. So the question is, where do we inject that default setup on it? Have a good one, Izzy. See you next week. Try not to work too hard, though I somewhat suspect you're going to anyway. But have a good one. And then enjoy your weekend. Let's see here. So this guy here, we can do... What wants conditional expressions? Do I have a... No, I don't think I do. No exception. Yeah, I kind of... I'm recalling AutoMocker targets. Yeah. Doesn't have newest stuff. Got to do it that way. That's fine. Where is that setup with the default case on there? Because that is verify HTTP GET. Well, we didn't pass the failure message in, so that's a straight up mistake. So fix that real quick. Let's see. Hold on. I put the comma in the wrong place, didn't I? Fail message. Fail message. There. Got up. There you go. And, oh, I guess we really should have done... I didn't do either of them, did I? Ask Kevin was an idiot. Okay. Well, where did we inject the default setup on this guy? Because he's being added somewhere, and it's got to be where he's being created. Because I don't own the type, it's got to be in one of these extensions. Let's look at where you're invoked from. Ha! This guy here. So he's always being added first. And I really want him added last. Because he's first, he gets first dibs on matching. And that's kind of problematic. That is kind of problematic. How do I make you always added to the end? Because I don't think the mock library allows me a way of setting up and okay, well, let's comment this out for a moment, because I think this will get us actually more of these things passing properly than what I previously expected. because everything that was reliant on the return value was failing, likely due to that. Okay, and this is now the only guy failing. Okay, so why that one's not reliant on it. Describe this guy. Oh, because this one has no setups is the functional problem. So he's set up and not called with anything. So I want to be able to do fanciness with this mock HTTP message handler. I want to wrap it so that when it's returned out, I can do stuff with it. But maybe this is just bad form. Um, and this really should just be set up HTTP get. Like we could go through and put a. I guess we can't. This should now pass because this is effectively match on all star. Expect to get, do the thing. No? Handler did not return a response message. Ah. Not sure that's what I want, though. Effectively, what we're saying is there's a get call, and I don't care about the response. Because it's a fluent setup, I don't actually know. Can I do... I think I can get away with this. New string. What is it? This wants a... Where is the return? I want returns response. Let's see. HTTP status code. Okay. This is sort of in line with what I want, but not quite. Because now I've changed this from an I setup to an I returns result. Maybe we just have to push that onto the caller to set up and do. That's not really what I want the API to look like. I guess the question is, what do I want the API to look like? Like, I'm somewhat tempted to have a... I'm somewhat tempted to have helpers around this that is more like returns okay, right? And then none of this gets configured. Or maybe I just scrap this and this just becomes HTTP status code okay. Right? And it just becomes a helper around the top of this, because this really then just becomes returns response and just pass in okay, and then we pass in our configure function, and that's all there is to it. And it's just a hat. Like, is it worth writing an entire method to avoid specifying an enum? Is it worth it? Because that then means this just turns all the way into returns okay. I wonder if it should be a capital K to match the enum member. It feels nicer. Feels nicer. This passes now, right? There we go. Seems okay. Just to confirm that the times is being appropriately checked. Good. That should fail. Maybe that's okay. Unintended. Uh, response. I feel like we might want to leverage this along with some helpful similar ones. Let's see. You just want expression body? Sure, fine. That's fine. We can expression body the member. That feels better. I think rather than trying to support the loose mock concept, it is kind of a weird thing because in mock, things will return default values for you if you don't do any setups on them, which is kind of the premise of what we want here. But I don't think there's a good way to do that just with regular mock setups because there isn't a. Let me just pull the mock back. There isn't a way to do that on the mock instance itself. Because I could make my extension methods do fancy things like always insert their setups in front of a default one so that they're first, but I can never stop someone from just blindly calling setup themselves, and then they would have to know to insert ahead of time, and that feels wrong. Um, so, okay, let me think this one through here, right? Because without anything here, I kind of want that behavior. So handler did not return a response message. Where is that coming from? That has to be my code. No. It's down in HTTP client land. So the HTTP client calls into it. And maybe the solution here is I include my own class here. That might be better. That might be better. That make my life worse? Well, let's go down this path, right? Private class testing handler, right? So if and this will be abstract. So what we can do here is we can go HTTP message handler, right? And what we can do here is we can go if guess else if context dot requested type equals type of HTTP message handler. Right, we are going to return back context dot value gets nesting handler. Right, so the reason we call back into the AutoMocker instance here is so that one, the caching provider has an opportunity to resolve it if one exists. It also gives us a chance to, if somebody wanted to put in their own resolver in the chain somewhere, rather than just immediately calling new, but it will probably end up calling new on this guy. And then if we were to override send a sync, because the only thing here is I almost like I want call base set to true on this. Let's see, var mock, right? So context dot value gets mock object, but can I do mock call base true? I think this is what I want, right? I think this is what I want because it allows this thing to call in. Because call base gets invoked always. I'm trying to remember if call base, if you set call base true, does it invoke in all situations or not? I think what I want to do is if context dot automocker dot mock behavior equals loose, then we allow call base to be invoked. Otherwise, or do we? Do we care? Do we care? Because my thought down here is we could very easily take this guy, because I'm kind of thinking something like this, right? Public, let's see, mock behavior, right? Get set, great, right? Because rather than doing this conditionally, we could do mock, stop it, mock dot object dot mock behavior gets context automocker mock behavior, right? So send that guy down, and now down here we can do something like if mock behavior strict, throw an exception. I don't know why. What does mock exception actually take? I think it's just an error message, isn't it? Incorrect number of calls. Return value required. Oh, see, the problem is these are internal. You have stymied me by making this my life hard. Do you hide the constructor from me as well? That would be most unfortunate. Yeah, you do. This is what I want to call, and it has no access modifier specified, which means it's internal by default. So you have made that impossible. But we could do something like throw new exception, no response given, right? But if it's not, we can just return new HTTP response message. We can set a status code of OK. And then I think, oh, task from result. Just do that. I think this gets us pretty close to what we want. Run this. Because then I think we can actually have this behavior. Because I think this is what I want to get down to, is letting the user not have to set up anything and just do verifications. Right? If you don't care about the response type, right? Maybe you're calling just a pinging endpoint, and you just want to verify that the ping call went out, right? You could set up on it, or you could just do verify. And that's a lot more in line with. Okay, handler did not return a response message. So in the case of strict, I think this is going to get us where we want to be. So if it's loose, we want to allow this behavior. And I think we just do call base. We don't even need to set up the mock behavior, because I think we only do call base in the loose case and allow it to go through. Because mock behavior is read only, it can't change after the AutoMocker instance has been created. And this allows it to flow through into the testing handler. Then where handler did not return a response message. Why is that still hitting? Oh, is it because this guy actually needs content specified on him? Let's see. Content gets new string content. Something of that nature. Is that what HTTP client is checking on? I'm tempted to just go pop this method open and look, but try to guess our way through it first. Okay, now we go look. Now I'm annoyed enough to go look. The client send sync. What are you doing? Okay, comes in here, sends async, calls core. Core goes down here. Throw for no response. So it's unhappy when it gets a null response back. So it's just validating that null isn't passed back. I'm not sending a null. Okay, why does it think it's getting a null? I'm very explicitly not passing null. Unless my instance isn't being resolved, which is a possibility. Okay, so it goes looking for that. Grabs it, call base. Oh. Ah, because it can't. Oh. Got it. Okay, so it's hiding the exception from me. That's all that's happening. Okay, fine. Fine. Make you public. I'm trying to decide if I want to nest it or not. I think I do. The testable HTTP client handler. Return empty 200 responses to all requests. Oh, I just want to do inherit docs on this one. There. Okay, does that fix that problem? Let's see, test method, blah, 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 through an exception. Registered service, castle proxies, testing handler proxy. It was not a mock. I think that's the kicker there, because I believe the context resolver will do a type check on the value and wrap it up in a mock instance otherwise. Nope. Oh, interesting. Oh. See you, JC. Thanks for your help tonight. Okay, so where derived stuff is going to be the death of me. Okay, so this guy here comes in, sets it up, gets the object. Great. Pulls it back, pulls it back. Solver. Okay, value provided. Great. If the value, and this is where I think it's getting bit, is why is it? Because it's not going to land on the mock one, is it? No, it's going to land on a real instance. It's going to land on a real instance, which is kind of wrong and kind of right all at the same time. Okay. Because it wants. No, I don't think. I don't think doing that is correct. I think that's actually what I want, and I want to figure out why I'm not getting cached as a mock properly. Because it clearly goes all the way through. That's my assumption. Okay. So step. Now we actually hit a mock instance, which is what I kind of anticipated. To go back. Contains key, service type. Why is... I think the fact that service type is coming in as the derived class, not the base, is probably what's biting me. Oh, because it's coming in as the derived because that's literally what I asked for. Okay. So I retrieve it back out. I now have the mock of the testing handler. Boy, this is a level of fun recursion. Now it lands in there, does the same thing, keeps going. In this case, service type is now HTTP message handler, which is the base. Our type map now has a couple things in here. One on the testing handler, one in the HTTP message handler. Great. Same instance, I believe, in both cases. I suppose we could test that. Well, this is a mock. This is the mock of it, and this is. No, they're both there. If I go here and I go make object ID, that's my $1. Oh, I have two of them. That's interesting. Pulls back the mock. Because I cannot cast it down to the base that it's looking for. Because this guy wants to. Very, very, very disappointing. Because I want to cache it both ways. I have the same instance. I want to do the mock as that. Maybe I can get away with just doing this. Because let it resolve with the testing handler first, then cast it down to the base one to let it circle back through. That's. I think that gets around the casting problem because mocks as. Oh, but that doesn't. That doesn't key it the same, does it? Grumble, 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 grumble. But it should. It should. Okay, let's debug this again. There's something here that is messing with my head. I don't like it. Okay. Mock testing handler, great. That works. That does exactly what we expect. Try resolve. This is where I actually want to pay attention to it. Type map, service type. It's the testing handler. That makes sense. We inject it. Great. Cast it back out as a mock instance. Great. Okay, that's fine. Come back in here. We now have mock of HTTP message handler. But his object should have two separate things on it. It goes in here. And so if we look at our type map, we've got two of them in here. Value. Oh, the as appears to have just dropped everything. That is very, because it doesn't even, it's got 0 setups on it. Whereas the other, wait. Right, but the other one had, stop it. This one actually has appropriate setups on it, doesn't it? I look at the mock, look at the setups. No, it does. Oh, it's not supposed to because it's supposed to fall all the way through to the call base. I guess that's the difference. There's a call base there. Do you have call base set? You do have call base set. No, but the one that is HTTP message handler has call base false, functionally giving me a brand new instance. Don't like this. Could abandon doing it as a mock. Maybe that's what I end up having to do. Maybe that's what I end up having to do. Because right now it does mean that to get down to the base level APIs for setup HTTP, like setup HTTP is built around the premise of acting on a mock of HTTP message handler, which is convenient, right? Because those are all just it's just mock and it's just BCL stuff. Just mock and just BCL stuff. Is the whole way down. And then it grabs it and slaps it on. But the moment you do as, you lose the base type, and so you are forced to just add things in because the setups are keyed based upon the type of the mock. Grumble, 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 grumble. So the alternative is that we don't allow this, and you actually have to do a setup. Just hate that. Hate that. And the only reason it's a problem is because the default, because HTTP message handler has this abstract send async method, and the default behavior of a class is to return null. So if you do nothing, what mock will do for you on that send async call is it'll go, oh, there was no setup. Allow me to go through and return a default one here. There's no way. Just, I want another hook on this guy. Oh, actually, default value provider might be the hook. Default value provider might be a good hook. Default return values for unexpected invocations. This guy might be better. Oh, hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on. I got you. I got you. If I do this and I do this, right, so we'll let that go get me the mock. And then we will change the default value provider out. What are you? You're a full class? I just need to implement you. Because this is empty mock. And can we do our own? I think we do this. I've never created a custom one of these before. Get default value, and I assume if type equals task can't type. Probably an indication it's getting late. Type of task of HTTP response message. All right. So we get the mock instance, which will be the HTTP message handler. And then we do new testing handler, right, for now. we just do that. And then context value gets mock. Let that guy go. And then the return default value provider empty. Oh, that's an actual default value provider instance, right? But I can't invoke on protected internal from here. So we'll just look at what you do and duplicate you. Yeah, we'll just call it null. Return null. Just do that. Because this guy is actually nullable. I believe. Wait, what? Really? You actually have nullability turned on? Okay, so maybe I need to look a little closer at what this thing does. That seems wrong. Well, I guess we could always just fall back. Yeah, return null, or yeah, return null bang, and we'll just shut this guy up this way. Right? So in this case, we're going to return this guy. Okay. So now, this is better. This should now pass. I expect this to pass because that default value provider should kick in, should run, everyone should be happy. The beaker fills up. 0 test executed. I'm sorry, what? Sounds like I Stack Overflowed. Oh, because I did. Because this call loops back in, finds this one, and it recurses on itself and kills itself. Great. We're just going to do this. Or actually, maybe we should just do it up above. Yeah, because I think what we should do is this. We should actually do it right here. Get rid of this. Now we won't Stack Overflow because we are using 2 different types. The requested type is HTTP client, and then it comes in and just sets up the entire handler there. There we go. Pass. Make sure we didn't break anything else. Okay. That makes me feel a lot better. Let's see. Default HTTP message. How about HTTP message handler default value provider? And I think what we can do is we can do private static something of that nature, and then this guy public. I guess we can just do instance. What's your problem there? Oh, read only is not valid for properties. So we don't need to have multiple instances of these. Just do the one. And I think what we're going to do is we are going to actually check and go context. Well, So if there is, the behavior is strict, we should probably be throwing. I'm just trying to decide what that should look like. Technically, I don't know if the mock is strict or not. I'm gonna leave a comment here. HTTP client will throw on a null response message saying a response is required. I am thinking that maybe we want, like, we're never going to get here. It's like I need a test. Let's see. Do a test. HTTP client with strict mocks throws without setup. So this has a structure of mock behavior strict, because strict mocks, anytime an invocation happens where there's not a setup already defined for it, they throw. In this case, we don't expect this to happen, and what we want here is assert throws. I guess a mock exception is probably the expectation here. I think that's... Oh, and we need throws async. Wait. This needs to be an async lambda. The needful. I guess we can just do expression body. I think we can do that as well. This, I'm not sure passes, because I think the HTTP client is going to throw first, and it's not going to get an opportunity. Oh, no, it does throw a mock exception. Oh, look at that. Okay. Because the mock is grabbing the... Maybe this really should throw, because it's going to be basically impossible. Throw new invalid operation exception. Unknown return type for default value. And we should include the return type, because I don't know what it is. Known return type. We'll do this. We'll do this. And we will say type dot full name on mock. We'll just slap the mock in there as well. Just so mock object type full name. There. That will do the needful. There. Okay. That gets that going. Now everything passes. Cool. Cool. So we're going to do that. Add this in, and then I'm going to rebase and push this, and then I think I may call it a night, since it is almost 12:30. And unfortunately, I still got to work tomorrow. Do the needful, force push, close that, force push, force push. Booyah! There we go. Let's see. Delete our local branch. There we are. And we are off to the races. Okay. Hopefully that was interesting. Like I said, I kind of got myself in a testing mood today of just wanting to kind of write testing code, because I like good tests and I like when things pass and they don't suck. So with that, I'm going to tell everybody happy coding. Thank you, everyone, for coming and hanging out. And as always, seeing you all next time.